Welcome creative friends, Edna Edie here from the Creativity Activist. Very excited to bring you Copic Acrea markers today. Going to do a little overview of the product and the swatching that I've done to bring these into my creative space. I was lucky enough to have my sister-in-law bring these back from Japan for me, and it's very exciting to have them in my hot little hands. I love a paint marker and I love everything Copic, and it's really great to see this new product brought to the market. So they do come in currently 24 colours, 4 packs of 6. I'm going to walk through the packaging and the swatching today, but they are water-based, they're pigment ink, they're paint markers, they're very opaque, and they're very versatile, any surface. I've tried them out on a few surfaces, and they're also light fast, which is very, very exciting. So this is the Japanese packaging as they were purchased in Japan. So for Japanese sales only. They do come, as I said, in the 24 colors. So this here is the light, and then we have a vivid, a deep, and an essentials as well. So I'll take you through those today. Packaging is also 100% recyclable, which is always good to hear, even though the packaging's lovely. If you don't want to keep the packaging, then it's obviously important that it is recyclable these days. You won't be able to read any of that unless you're Japanese, but it's very exciting to have them. So they come in a packet, as you would anticipate. They do have colour markings on both ends. So at the top end, they have the colour swatch, and these little nodules stop it from rolling around on your table too. So that's always good. They always think of the good things. And then at the other end as well, they have the colour swatch and the name of the colour, Copic Acrea. I understand Acrea is aquatic and creative, or creativity, and I'm pretty sure they pronounce it Acrea. So they come in absolutely beautiful shades. This is the light range. So they come in lilac, turquoise, blue, custard beige, what an awesome colour, cream yellow, apple green, and then this colour here, coral pink. I've kept the packaging on this, so you may be able to see there that there's a little plastic packaging. It's not that easy to get off, I have to say. Maybe a little tab might be nice. And this one's coming off easier than any of them did for me when I took them all off. But some packaging. And then the paint marker itself has the lid at the top, and it's a click on, so you know that it's shut lid scenario. And then the nib comes in clean. It is a very firm nib. I've done some scratching with the top of the nib, and it tends to be holding up to that scratching. So for the swatching itself, so here you can see I have swatched the colours. I tend to choose a little stencil when I'm doing swatching. And because the colour's not yet down in the marker, you do need to shake. It does have a ball bearing in there, and all of the information on their website says to get the smoothest effect, you must obviously have it mixed well, and then when you press down, the colour will come down, as is the case with many of the paint markers on the market. And I'm just using a scratching to make this swatching. I don't tend to use block colour with my markers very often. I tend just to get the scratch on there. And that's obviously bled over there, but you can see that the colour goes down really easily. And it, as you would anticipate, looks completely different when you do it on a dark card. The colour is super opaque, comes out in a very nice flow. You can get to a point where you can flood as well, if you want to. So I like to work out the opaqueness and the scratchiness when I do. Simple click back on of the lid, and as I said, the lid in itself is an anti-rolling mechanism there. So you can flood. I absolutely flooded here when I was starting off with one of my swatches, just when I first came into the marker, it flooded, and you can see there was lots of paint on there. It's actually got a bit of a crackle, and you can flood and swipe as you would anticipate. Still very opaque once you've done the flooding, so that's good to know. And in essence, I love them. I'm going to be using them a lot. Let's have a look at some of the other colours. So in here are the vivid colours. So leaf green, flamingo pink, tomato red, sky blue, lemon yellow, and mandarin orange. Definitely very vivid, bordering on primary colours, although the tomato red's obviously a paled red. Really enjoyed those colours when I was using them. And then into the deep, so you do get a darker pink in the deep, which is always good to have if you're a pink and red girl like I am. Red barn, mustard yellow, indigo blue, peacock green, and pansy. So definitely getting into a deeper colour range there. The essentials was what I absolutely had to have. I use white, silver, and black just about every day in my creative life, but really nice sepia tone as well, like a brown, but a soft brown. The gold is very gold. Not sure my scratching technique brought the silver and gold out to its most optimum shade. Love that there's a cool grey. Possibly see the gold and the silver better on the black there. So awesome to have these. I'm very excited that every one of them has come to live at my place. Let's have a little bit of a play with them on some different substrates. So let's get into some paper just to see how they're working. So this is paint and paper on old book paper. Let's see how that goes across. Let's choose a traditional black, so you can see that working there. Comes out super smooth regardless of whether or not you're on top of the paint or the paper there. Let's go in with something else. And they do go on top of one another without too much blending. That was still quite wet as well, so there might have been a little bit of transfer. Yeah, definitely going well on the paint and the paper. This is like a leftover jelly plate. Let's see if we can bring that stencil back in and go back over the top of those things and get some colour in there. Coming back with pink and red, which is one of my all-time favourite colour combinations. Sounds scratchy, but definitely coming out with great amounts there. And then even, so you can see that there, everything you would expect of a paint marker. Very smooth, I would say. Certainly haven't felt like I've got any scratching going on, even though it sounds scratchy. And this is a deli sheet. Definitely sitting really nicely on top of that deli sheet. And I do understand it also works on acetate. I don't have any with me today, but I'm sure I have some packaging. Let's go. Just the plastic on the packaging. Definitely sitting really nicely on top of that. And then coming in with some fabric. Works on fabric as well. Let's go and see if the metallics work on the fabric. So some leaves. Okay, that's working really nicely on the fabric there, as you would anticipate using that. Goes on super smooth onto that raw fabric, which is good. I often find with a paint pen on fabric that the transition to opaqueness takes a lot more effort than that. Right. Exciting stuff, exciting times. Perhaps the biggest test of all, that's going on very nicely onto that fabric, is how well it will write. So let's go back to one of these pieces of paper. Let's choose traditional white and see how it writes. Very nicely, I would say. Not too much break in how the colour comes down, and I hadn't really shaken that too well at all. Definitely great flow in the right. There we go. Really opaque, very happy. I'm going to try these out on some different substrates and see how I go, but certainly I can see these living well in my creative space. I understand they will be available in open stock as well. Fun times. Big thanks to my sister-in-law for tracking these down for me in Tokyo. Very excited to have them at my house. Copic Acrea, paint marker, all the way. Enjoy.